All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Methough. This is episode 30. And as you see by the title, today we're going to be talking about what should Resident Evil 9 be about, or what do I want from Resident Evil 9? I don't really know what the fuck I'm going to name this, but for all you out there who don't know, Capcom did like a little video, I think it was like last week at the time me recording this, where they basically just like briefly announced that they're making Resident Evil 9, and it's from the same director that made Resident Evil 7, which if you don't know, I fucking love Resident Evil 7. I thought that game was fantastic. And so I wanted to talk about basically what should Resident Evil 9 be about? What do I want from Resident Evil 9? Just anything pertaining to Resident Evil 9. What does a nigga want? Like, I don't know how to really phrase this as a question, but you get my point. What do I expect? What do I want? All of that bullshit. What, when, where, who, how, why, all that shit about Resident Evil 9. But before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and say this. Your boy has finally got his sleep schedule right. I finally have gotten used to this job and the hours that I'm working, that I'm at now. And so your boy has been working his ass off behind the scenes to release some videos. And I'm currently in the process of working on some. I have 2 that should be coming out over the next couple of weeks. And they're going to be multiverses videos, because I know how much y'all love multiverses. And I'm being sarcastic because y'all don't really fuck with my multiverses videos, which I don't blame you, because, you know, that game is not fairly popular, but I think it's a good game for the most part. It does need some huge fucking retweaks. And speaking of that, they did come out with a patch to fix a lot of the shit that I probably had a problem with. And so those videos that I will be putting out when it comes to that was recorded before the patch. So I want to put that here just in case if anybody doesn't know, but I'll have to put something in the comment section or description when those videos do come out. It was pre-patched, but I just want to let y'all know your boy's working on some shit, and I got some shit playing. And then next month in August, yeah, because that is next month, yeah, June, July, August. And then next month in August, I got some pretty big videos coming out in August. And so with all of that out the way, let's get into the fucking topic of this video. What do I want from Resident Evil 9? Now, I've made a video about this already. I think it was like Methough episode 26, but the video came out fucking dog shit, and I don't know why. I don't really remember what happened. I don't even know why I fucking put it out. I probably shouldn't have done that, but hey, you live and you learn. And we've learned, and now we're gonna do this video, or that video, justice, better yet. And that is, what do I want from Resident Evil 9? Now, I just said it in the intro that it's being made by the director for Resident Evil 7 is making Resident Evil 9. And the thing about it is that I do know a little bit about it, that because Capcom has a really bad leak problem. I don't know what the fuck is going on at that corporation where shit just constantly gets leaked for them. Because I even remember a couple years ago, Resident Evil 4 Remake got leaked before we even knew that it was going to be a thing. Like, before they announced it got leaked in like a big document. I made a video about it, about them saying that it was coming out soon. And then, of course, ultimately we end up getting Resident Evil 4 Remake. So I don't know what the fuck is going on in Capcom where they have such a bad leak problem, but they need to get that shit fixed. They need to call a fucking plumber and get him to plug that shit up, because this shit's getting ridiculous on how much that shit leaks. But anyway, we already knew Resident Evil 9 was in development. And not only that, from the leaks, they were saying that it was going to be starring a prominent Resident Evil character, whether it be Leon, Geo. There was never really any specifics. It was just that we knew it was going to be somebody that's a mainstay character in the Resident Evil in the Resident Evil franchise. And to be honest with you, if it should be anybody, and this is what I said in that last video, so I'm going to be kind of repeating myself from that last horrible ass video that I made. If it's anybody, it should be Sheva. Bring back Sheva. I'm going to say it again. Hashtag bring back Sheva. I'm going to try to make this a campaign. Now, I already know it's in development, so her possibly coming back is never going to happen, or at least in the case of this game, it's going to be a slim to none chance of her being in there. But fuck it, I'm going to keep on saying it. Hashtag bring back Sheva. Why haven't we seen Sheva since Resident Evil 5? Sheva was a fucking great character. The only thing that makes Sheva kind of like, the only reason why I could kind of see why they wouldn't bring her back is because, unfortunately, she did get enough screen time, but the problem was that they used Chris as the main vehicle for that game, and Sheva was kind of, well, she was his partner. She was mainly in the background, even though, you know, she's African and it took place in Africa and stuff like that. It was still mainly about Chris, and the BSAA. That's what it was. I was about to say BBSA, but that's not what it is. It's BSAA. That's what it was mainly about. Him being a part of that group for some reason still, after going through so much traumatic and horrific shit. And, you know, him going to Africa and linking up with Sheva. And, you know, of course, the main bad guy was Wesker and all of that. So my point is that Sheva never really got, to me, the screen time that she deserved as a character, because it was mainly about Chris, Wesker, and Jill, and she was just like the replacement for Jill. But Sheva is a solid fucking character. This, like, when it comes to my RE waifus, it's Ada and Sheva that are number one. So yes, this is coming from the perspective and a guy who fucking loves Sheva dearly and is his waifu. You can laugh at me all you want. I don't give a fuck. I will say that day in and day out. Sheva is waifu and Ada's waifu. Those are my babies right there. And I want to see more of Sheva, because even with her being like a secondary character to a certain extent in that game, she still had more personality and was way more memorable than fucking Helena from Resident Evil 6. The only reason why I remember Helena from Resident Evil 6 is because of the simple fact that she was with Leon, but she was so fucking bland and dry. It was like, she stuck to my memory of like, wow, I did not think they could make a character this fucking bland, and somehow they managed with Helena. That's the only reason why I remember Helena. Plus, I mean, it's Resident Evil 6. No matter how much you try to forget Resident Evil 6, it would always be a part of you just because of how fucking insane that game is. But you get my point. And I know there's, let me say this. I feel like one of the reasons why we have not seen Sheva is because there was a lot of pushback against Sheva, especially at the beginning when the game first came out, about her. And the thing that I think not only did fans and people, but Capcom themselves misinterpreted, was that you have a lot of people that, especially during that time, was shitting on Sheva and making it seem like she was just a terrible character. But I think they confused her character for her AI. Because let's be real here, anytime you play that game solo dolo, the AI in that game is so fucking incompetent that it's ridiculous. And that's where a lot of the memes come from, of like Chris always yelling at Sheva, come on. Or, and then you were like, over here. And then, you know, that's where that comes from. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen Sheva, is because the signals got mixed. They essentially confused her character for her AI. And to me, that's just fucking stupid, but that's just me personally. But I would really like for Sheva to come back, because I think she's an underutilized character in so many aspects. I truly do. She brought a perspective to Chris that I don't think even Jill really brought. And plus, just overall, she was just fucking badass. And I don't see why. And especially with the most recent remakes, with the Resident Evil remakes, and then them bringing back Jill and making Jill the way that she is now, to the point to where if you haven't seen Resident Evil Dead Island, do yourself a fucking favor and go and watch it, okay? Get you a little bit of some menu, whatever your vice is, and sit down and watch that fucking movie. You are going to have a fucking fantastic time. And where I'm getting at with this is that with Resident Evil Remake Jill, or Resident Evil 3 Remake Jill, that they have in that movie, they made her so fucking badass that it even made me a fan of this current Jill. Like, the scenes that they gave Jill in this fucking movie, RE3 Remake Jill, by the way, I'm gonna keep on saying that so you won't get it confused. I'm talking about RE3 Remake Jill. The scenes that they fucking gave her in Resident Evil Dead Island are so fucking nice that I was like, damn, now I'm even a fan of Jill to a certain degree. She would never be able to clip Sheva or Ada, but she's damn near there. She's damn near, like, I would say she's probably like 4 or 5 pegs below them. So my point is that if they can do that with Jill, why can't they do that with Sheva? Especially because Sheva was already badass. She was already badass from the get-go, so I don't understand why they just can't do the same thing with her. Now, granted, if they do that, they're not going to be able to put her back in that tribal outfit. Times have changed. That tribal outfit, because let's be honest here, that fucking tribal outfit was just a bikini with African fucking safari print on it or whatever it was. That was not no tribal outfit. That was just her in a fucking bikini, and they let that shit, and we let that shit slide. Because everybody was like, you know what I'm saying? We was all like, hey, we ain't complaining. But you get my point. That's the only thing that they not going to be able to do. But I really do think they should bring back Sheva. I really do. So that's the first thing I would like to have from Resident Evil 9, but I know that's a slim to none chance. Now, what I would actually expect from them, and honestly what I kind of want from them, and this is going to be me getting into some really nerdy shit that probably most niggas wouldn't even fucking pay attention to nor care about, but it's just me and how I think and how my brain is processed, or how my brain processes things, and my brain is wired. The thing that I expect and the thing that I kind of want from them, honestly, is that I want them to do another first-person game. I know there's a lot of people out there that's not a big fan of the first-person games, but the only reason why I do want them to make another first-person game, and I honestly kind of expect them to make another first-person game, is because if you pay attention to the Resident Evil games, excluding the remakes, because the remakes they're the ones that are trying to make a cohesive timeline now. Because everybody knows the original RE timeline is so fucked and so all over the place that it's even hard to try to make a cohesive timeline out of that shit. That's why they've been slowly going through and remaking them all to try to make them much more cohesive and have a much more cohesive tone. Hence why I didn't understand why people was bitching and complaining about Resident Evil 4 being a lot more serious when the other two games before that were serious too. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. If you look at the original games, right, like, and this is even if you include Zero, which I don't fucking include Zero because I fucking hate Zero with all my passion, or with all my fibers of my beings. Like, I just can't stand Resident Evil 0. If you look at it though, 0 through 1 were fixed camera angles. 4 through 6, third person over the shoulder. So if you're talking about the first 3 games of fixed camera angles, the next 3 games are over the shoulder third person, why not finish out the trilogy for the first person? Why not? Why not make Resident Evil 9 first person too? Just to go ahead and complete the trilogy. Why not? That's the biggest thing that I want for them to do. Now, the other thing that I was going to say, and I'm not going to lie, I can't speak on this too much because I haven't really delved into the DLC yet. Even though I think I did buy the DLC for Resident Evil 8, I just never got around to it because I was going to save it for when I sit down and actually review Resident Evil 8. I don't know where their story goes because from what I understand because last time I checked, at the end of Resident Evil 8, you find out that Ethan was dead, that he's like been dead this entire fucking time. And at the end of Resident Evil 8, he like officially dies. And then his daughter, I can't remember her name for the life of me, Rose. That was the daughter's name, Rose. That's what the DLC is about her. I was expecting them to basically continue that story, but once again, I don't know if within her DLC is where her story wraps up. So that's probably why in this one is going to be about more prominent characters like Jill or whoever they decide to place in there. But if that isn't the case, I would like for them to wrap up that story too. That's what I'm expecting and kind of hoping, because even though I'm not the biggest fan of Ethan, because Ethan is so fucking bland that it hurts me to my core. I mean, he's as bad as Helena, but the justification for Ethan, and I might be thinking about some other shit, and I know y'all correct me if y'all even make it this far in the video. From what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, the main reason why they made Ethan the way that he was is because it was supposed to be more of the player in the shoes of Ethan. Like, Ethan is basically the vehicle for us to be put in those scenarios, hence why it's in first person. I could be completely wrong. There's a high chance, a very, very, very high chance that I could be wrong. But from what I understand, that's what Ethan's purpose was to be the vehicle for us to be in the scenarios as if it was us, even though we're playing as Ethan, if that makes any sense. Outside of him being that bland and outside of Ethan being Ethan, I do think that the stories that they were telling with him and the characters and everything were really fucking good. And I would really like for them to wrap up all of that. Now, granted, I don't know what they could go from Resident Evil 8, because Resident Evil 8 was such a huge fucking departure from what we got with 7. Not only from the villains, but the setting and all of that. It was just like a completely left approach. And I think even the dude that announced Resident Evil 9 even said that, was like, yeah, we went a little bit too far left. So we're trying to figure out a way to kind of hone everything back in. And I think they're probably talking about with 8 because of how fucking crazy 8 gets by the end of it, where like you're fighting that Nicolas Cage, Dante from DMC5 looking ass nigga, and he's like turns into like a big ass like robot, or I don't remember what the fuck he turns into. That boss battle was just so over the top. I couldn't even remember. And then he referred to Chris and punching boulders, and I was like, wait, how the fuck did he know about that? How does all of that in the same timeline, you know? Anyway, you get my point. I would still like for them to try to wrap up that story and with those characters, even though Ethan is dead, maybe with Rose or whoever, just so we can finish that trilogy properly. That's what I want. That's what I kind of expect. I don't know, once again, who's going to be involved. I don't know if Rose is going to be involved. I don't know if Chris is going to come back. Even though he's been in the last 2 games, I don't know if he's going to come back. Maybe it switches over to him and Rose. That might be a pretty cool concept. Maybe that's what it could be about. That, you know, because Ethan's dead, I think, what's her name was? Mia. I think she's dead at this point too. So, like, now that both of them are dead, maybe Chris takes her under his wing and she becomes part of the BSAA or something. Once again, maybe that was explored in the DLC. Once again, I have not played the DLC yet, so I don't know. I'm just speaking off what I'm assuming, or what could possibly happen based off my knowledge of playing 7 and 8. But I really want them to wrap up this trilogy, even if it's not with these characters, in first person, first and foremost. That's the biggest thing. I really want them to do that. But not only that, I do want them to go more horror oriented too. That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I'm expecting, especially since they said that things went a little bit far left for them with Resident Evil 8, or just the past couple of games in general. I'm really hoping and honestly, I'm kind of expecting them to go more horror based, because to be honest with you, some of the scariest parts of 8 were the more slower moments. Like that part when you're stuck in that little basement or whatever with that fucking giant fetus baby looking thing. That shit was fucking terrifying. That was terrifying. That was easily one of the most memorable moments that anybody will remember who's played that game. Out of, even over Lady Dimitrescu, whatever the fuck her name is that everybody gets horny for and wants her to step on them and all that other weird shit. Right? Shit. I got choked up. Sorry. Even all that weird shit. That part with the baby, scary as shit. Scary as fucking shit, known to man. In Resident Evil 7, what was the scariest part? Having fucking Jack Baker walking around the house trying to find your ass. That shit was fucking terrifying. That was easily one of the most terrifying aspects of that fucking game. So I really hope / expect them to go back to horror and make it more horror oriented. I don't know if they're going to go as far as to make it to where it's like the older RE games where you really have to conserve ammo. If they do that, I think that will probably be really fucking good, especially with the first person camera, because I don't think there's really many first person survival horror games that go that route. It could be. Let me make that abundantly clear. I can't play every fucking game known to man, nor know about every game known to man. Now, I will say, Evil Within 2 is probably the closest we've gotten to that, because that has a first-person mode, and that has limited resources. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of say that. But at the end of the day, that game was built to be a third-person game, not a first-person game. They just added it later. And it still works to a certain degree, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't, because it was an afterthought, and it wasn't the main priority compared to something like Resident Evil 7 and 8, where the whole point of it was being first person. So there's a bit of a change there where on stuff that you can do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of just voice my opinions on what I think the next Resident Evil game should be about, or what I'm expecting from it, or whatever. Especially because I want Sheva to come back. Once again, hashtag bring back Sheva. I know nobody's gonna give a fuck. But I don't understand why Sheva hasn't come back. Or better yet, I'll go ahead and say this too. Bring back Sherry too. I don't understand why we haven't seen Sherry. We haven't seen her since Resident Evil 6, and she's a badass now, right? Because of Resident Evil 6, which to me, that was the best fucking campaign out of that game with Sherry and Jake. I really enjoyed that campaign. That campaign, despite how ridiculous it was, with the little Nemesis dude swinging from helicopter to helicopter, which was so fucking stupid. But it was stupid in a good way. I still remember Sherry. Sherry was the best part about that. Seeing her grown now and her whooping ass, I thought that shit was fucking cool. So it can even bring back, you can even bring back Sherry. I mean, if you really want to know my true story, I would love to have both of them be together. Not in that sense. That kind of came out wrong. I didn't mean it that way, but you get my point. Meaning both of them be a tag team duo. Good, we can do the S&S connection, the Sherry and Sheva connection. That would be fucking dope. I think that would be fucking dope as hell. You can have like an older Sheva with a semi-older Sherry. That would be dope. You could do a lot with that. Fuck, even bring back Rebecca. Where the fuck is she at? They brought her back in the damn movie, the Dead Island movie. Rebecca's in that, but then she ain't in any of the games. They just keep on holding Rebecca, don't they? They just like, hey, yeah, Rebecca, you gonna stay over there. We'll put you in the movies, but don't bring your motherfucking ass over here to the games. Keep your ass over there with the movies, but don't even dare come to these games. Like keep your ass over there. But yeah, that's all. This wasn't supposed to be like some grandiose video or nothing like that. It was just me basically sharing my thoughts on what I think they should do for the next Resident Evil game and what I'm hoping they'll do, etc., blah, blah, blah. I just know I can't wait for it because I'm a fucking Resident Evil junkie, and it doesn't matter how many games they come out with. I'm gonna fucking buy them. Now I will say I won't buy any of the side games. I will say that because every time they come out with a side game, we get Operation Raccoon City, which is fucking dog shit. I don't care what anybody says. Operation Raccoon City was fucking ass. And then we get that stupid ass esports game that they tried to come out with. And then what was it? RE-verse or Reverse? Has that even fucking came out yet? Did that even come out? That online shit? I paid all that money for Resident Evil 3. And that was supposed to be a part of it. And I don't even know if that shit ever even fucking came out. So it's just like, as long as it's not any of that bullshit, I will be the first one in line buying Resident Evil. And but I don't even know why they continue to fucking make those kind of things. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Hashtag bring back Sheva. That's all that matters. Hashtag bring back Sheva. Please, Capcom, fucking bring back Sheva. We need more melanated people in your fucking games because most of them fucking die. And Sheva was the only one who didn't die. Even though she almost died, she didn't. So we need some more melanin in these fucking games. I want my cocoa brown skin Sheva. All right? Bring it back. That's it.